Okay, welcome everyone to the Runeterra show. Got a great show for you guys today. We got Aikado, Henneky, who I just realized name says what am I? Jasensational, and myself. We've been talking all about the meta because this is a really interesting one. Everyone put your hand up. It's currently in Masters.
To be fair, it's only 1 weekend, so like,
yeah, it's true.
No expectations, right, guys?
I would expect myself to be like Masters. Like
I mean, 1 week, and also, and like it goes farther too. Like, what am I? Isn't so? This is the joke. We're all in Diamond. Apparently, Aikado is still in Plat.
Hey, you know, I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
I don't know.
Aikado's not putting his
is.
best feet forward.
I'm Diamond.
I'm making too many YouTube videos, you know. It's just it's not great for climbing sometimes.
That's fair.
That's fair. Very true. What am I also being in Diamond though is like a big one because his whole shtick is like
he's
early
Diamond.
climb.
He's not Masters, but yeah. He always climbs really fast, really early, and the fact that he's not playing that much is.
Is he not playing or is he just not climbing?
I don't know if he's not playing. He may just not be climbing. Who knows?
He was talking about how he was having trouble finding a deck that he really liked. So I imagine that he is playing.
I mean, I feel the same way. Like, and that's my big issue with the meta is like, there's not like any one deck where I'm like, I'm gonna just play this and crush everything. Kind of feels like really frustrating because I'll queue up like a Demacia deck and then just get run over by Flock decks. Then I'll be like, oh, I should just play FTR into these Flock decks, and then I play FTR and it's immediately like Alawi scouts, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll play Flock decks, and then I'm playing against all the Shadow Isles players. So it's just fun little rough patch of stuff. It feels like a lot of the decks are really polarized, and some games just don't feel good to play to me.
I feel like I run to almost half my games are just against Thralls. And it makes me want to jump off of a building because none of the decks that I'm playing beat Thralls. And like to beat Thralls, it's like, okay, I could queue Scouts and lose to every single Flock deck, Disintegrate deck on the planet, and that doesn't sound like fun. It also loses to Alawi. I could queue Alawi, but then I'm also losing all these Flock decks. Dude, oh my god. Thralls, I think if Thralls didn't exist, I would love this ladder meta. Because like I love Ravenbloom. Ravenbloom decks are amazing. I just want to play Ravenbloom until, the end of the season, but Thralls just makes me cry in the meantime.
Yeah, that's fair.
I found Annie Jin to actually not be too bad into Thralls.
I mean, you'd hope so. It's a burn.
I mean, you just
traditionally the aggro decks are like kind of had troubles with like Avalanche and stuff.
Not really. Like the thing is like with Thralls is like they don't have the range. They only have Avalanche and Blade of Ravine, and they can't really afford to keep too much of it. So, like, you kind of just throw all your shit down and be like, well, do you have it? And then they don't have it and they're immediately dead. And there's nothing they can really do about it.
I think Annie Jin is one of the few non-Demacia decks that actually beats Thralls, right? Which, I mean, it's great for Annie Jin players, but, then you're playing Annie Jin.
The thing is, that also feels pretty bad to be on. Like, that deck has really, really, really bad matchups as well. Like, the Demacia decks are terrible for that. If you have to play against, like, Jarvan or Jarvan Alawi, you're just, like, I think it's, like, 20%, like, 25% or something like that you can win. And it's just, I don't know.
Challenger units kind of make you cry. Challenger units, and they just, like, fill up their board just the same as you, and they kind of kill you on turn 5 or 6. And it's rough. It's a rough life out there.
Yeah, it is kind of sad.
So do you guys think the meta is really balanced then?
It depends what you say by balanced. Like, I guess there's something that beats everything in that sense. So I would say it's balanced like that. But at the same time, like, there's no like one deck you can play and just be kind of even into everything and outplay everything.
Yeah,
is it the Phalios that deck?
Yeah, it is kind of that deck to some degree. But I mean, that it does have trouble with a lot of the Demacia stuff too, right? Like playing against Alawi is pretty miserable too, even with that deck. So, and Thralls, yeah, it can also blow up all over your shit.
Yeah, it's a rough day out there. I don't know. It's so hard because it's hard to tell like what deck you actually should be playing. Because again, so many of them have just such polarized matchups against the rest of the meta And maybe that's just that we haven't figured out yet. Like maybe there probably is like one or two just broken decks that are beating almost everything. Maybe I just need to be queuing Pantheon. But in the meantime, it's rough out there. It's rough out there on ladder.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new interesting stuff, like in that sense. Like there's a lot of new cool decks. Like all the Ravenbloom stuff is cool. All the like Annie Jin is new, of course. Even the Bard decks are interesting to see where that's going. I mean, Thralls in some sense is kind of new because it's playing 6 new cards, I guess.
Never seen Thralls before. It's
yeah,
brand new experience.
Deep
Brand
is a
new
brand new
concept.
Deep is a brand new deck.
Cameron
The other
Hall
one is
never heard of him.
the Viego Noxus deck, which is also
Brand new
doing pretty well.
concept.
Well,
that's
one is
kind of brand new.
Yeah, who the fuck was playing Viego Noxus before this?
It's just Viego. I mean, Viego is always going to have the same 9 cards in the deck, but then what you do beyond that is always slightly different.
It is a really interesting deck. Like that is one of the the most different ones, right? It's a Viego deck that doesn't care about protecting Viego.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that you just like spit out all of these huge must answer units, and eventually your opponent like runs out of answers, or they just die to the 30 attack Legion Deserter. And that Legion Deserter gets really big really fast.
Yeah.
I've been playing a ton of Disintegrate decks, so I haven't really been farmed by this deck yet, but I can only imagine the first time that you queue up like a remotely fair deck and they drop, like a 12-11 Legion Deserter on turn 6, and it's like, oh, well, fuck me.
The other thing is it has like super efficient removal too, because like they'll have like the Vile Disintegrate combos and the Vengeances as well. So like anything you want to play that's big is like kind of sad.
And Undergrowth makes me want to cry, dude. That card is fucked up. Why did Undergrowth get printed? It's very annoying when the Vile decks also get Undergrowth, and it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
it's a rough life out there. What have you been playing, Jason?
Sensational.
Either one.
I mean, I'm in a similar boat. I've just been playing like all sorts of different decks. I think the one deck that I have enjoyed the most so far is this. It's the Timelines deck with Revna. So I think it actually feels pretty solid, just because you also have Buried in Ice and that's theirs, which kind of farms a lot of things. So like against the Viego decks, you can just slam a Jamma, you can bait like the Field of Rush into it. I just feel like that's like a very solid sort of choice for end game removal, especially without like much Ionia running around. And of course you got to play Timelines, which is all fun and dandy. Feels solid into like the Disintegrate decks because you just have like the huge tempo swing on turn 8 with the Pillar. And then it feels solid into most other like control stuff without like denying them. So I've been enjoying that a decent amount, but other than that, like again, like it falls in the trap where you play a deck that's like good into most things, and then you like absolutely cry in Thralls, and then I don't want to be doing that, and then like that's where like sort of things start to go downhill.
Okay, right? Deep is okay with Buried in Ice, but
I have like Thralls players like tapping out on turn 3 to like promising future. They're one landmark, and I run landmark in my deck, but I don't have it. But then they still had Deny in hand, so when I try to disintegrate Static Shock 2 Thralls, they have Deny.
Yeah,
and it's all.
I think that these timeline decks, like ever since Trundle Timelines came out, that was like the deck that 4LW popularized. It was big on ladder for a while after Nar came out. Buried in Ice has like low-key been a insane late game card, especially with the It That Stares buff, where if you do just use it as a board clear, it just deals 3 damage to everything, so it's killing most boards. I feel like Buried in Ice is just an incredibly strong top end. I'm really excited by this new Timelines deck. I don't know if Revna, I don't know how good Revna is. But like just the Timelines deck in general is like it's really solid, and being able to abuse Buried in Ice, as well as the double 8 drop on turn 8 is it's really strong.
Yeah, the thing that I always worry about when I watch this deck is like whenever it does this thing, I'm like, wow, this deck is so good, and then you watch one game where it doesn't have the timelines, and you're like, oh god.
That's why it's called Timelines deck.
What's actually like timelines for it?
Just draw timelines. I don't know. It looks so sketchy. So maybe I would be more interested if there was like a more consistent way to have timelines every game. But Maybe honestly, Timeline should just activate at the start of the game, like Sundisk. It should just do that.
That'd be so broken.
Ooh.
That'd be insane.
What the condition should be? You have units in your deck, and then Timeline activates.
You should have to play a champion that's like just really bad. It's like a 5 mana.
You have Katarina in your
shoot.
deck, and then you're allowed it just activates.
Hey, Katarina is good, bro.
Yeah,
Okay,
pop out.
Katarina. Actually, Katarina is interesting. Like, because Katarina's been like a one of in like a bunch of random decks all of a sudden recently. Like, one thing we were playing was playing it in Pirates. Over like Gangplank as the one of champion in like MFTF one cat, and then now it's been like this one of in this Viego deck where it's like another like a 10th threat, I guess is about.
Yeah, I mean, like ever since like Noxus decks can just run Disintegrate, just having like a random Blades Edge sometimes, even if you don't care about Katarina or Katarina just never levels, is totally fine.
Having access to the extra ping is great, especially for Ravenbloom decks that are already playing like Blades Edge or are kind of low on value but have all this really cheap removal. Having just an extra ping is really nice. And yeah, I've actually been really impressed with Katarina. I still don't want to run 3, and she's still not like hard carrying games, but she's playable. She's good. She's fine.
Yeah,
I like her as the one of. I wonder if we'll see more stuff like that in LOR where like people are just like getting better at building decks rather than just slapping 3 ofs. Like the numbers start to get like a little more because like that happened in Magic for the longest time. So in Magic you play 4 of in a deck. A lot of times it was like 4 ofs, 2 ofs, 1 ofs were considered like, I don't know, loose, or like maybe if there was like a win con in a combo, like it was pretty rare. And then now though, like modern deck building is like much more finessed. It's like a lot of like 3s, 2s, 1s, like a lot of 1s even. And it's stuff like Katarina, where it's like a card that's like, okay, maybe it's like okay in the early game, but then just randomly, if you have it in the right spot, like you win the game kind of thing. And you're seeing like a lot of it. It's like very common now. And yeah, it took people a while to wrap their heads around it because of the consistency issue, which is I think is a lot less in LOR than it is in Magic, because you have a 60 card deck, whereas in LOR you have a 40 card deck. But I mean, we know that like in Runeterra, it's all about sort of like timing, right? Like having the right card at the right time, having enough mana to use it, like often swings games. And I think the reason that we haven't seen it more in LOR is because there just haven't been enough like good cards or enough cards like that you'd want to play as a one of. Like the pool is just kind of small. Like for most decks have always kind of had to play like some filler almost, right? There's always been like some cards that are like, yeah, I guess I play these because I don't have anything better really. And even like today, like aggro decks are still kind of like, yeah, there's always some cards you kind of throw in there, whatever.
Well, yeah. I mean, aggro is just always going to be in like, it just wants to enable its consistency. So it's just going to run a whole bunch of, early game that's all going to be 3 ofs and stuff like that.
A bunch of shitters, yeah. But things like, I don't know, look at like Guiding Touch. Like Guiding Touch is a card that gets played a lot because it cycles. And like it has an effect that's like relevant. But like if there was other cards that were 2 mana burst, draw a card that did something like more interesting or more powerful, like you'd get rid of that.
I mean, we've certainly moved in that direction. Like, there's a lot of decks, like especially like the Pio-based game or
exactly.
Decks.
Yeah,
like a lot of them are running a lot of 2 ofs, 1 ofs, and a whole mix of stuff to mix their strategies.
Yeah, it makes it hard to play against them, right? When you're playing against, or how about like Thresh Aesol? Like one of my often ran a lot of 1 ofs, and it would be like, okay, well, do I Velop or Open here? Because like you could have Whale, or you could have Grasp, or you could have like Star Shaping, or it made life really tough. And I think as the card pool gets bigger and people get better at building decks, I think we're going to see more stuff like that one of Katarina, because I think that's I think it's like pretty good. I've been blown out by the one of Katarina before.
I think champions in particular have always been in that weird spot where like you only get 6. So the straightaway reasoning is, I just want 6 of or 3 of each of my champions, right? But I think we've kind of moved away from that thinking. I mean, there's a lot of decks that are 3-2-1 now, like Rumble, Draven, Scion.
Yeah, see, I think it's a card pool thing. Yeah. See, I think Champs is a perfect example where how many times have you been like, I want to build this deck, and you're like, what's my other champ gonna be? And there's times where you're just like, I don't like any of these options really, but like look at like Alawi right now, right? People are kind of like, I guess like J4, like I don't know, like you're kind of going through the options trying to find something, but like there could definitely be a champ that's much more like suited to be with her. And so I think as the card pool gets bigger and bigger and bigger, like you'll be able to do more stuff like that.
It might be that, but I'll tell you, if you look at any of my decks, it's filled with like 1s and 2-ofs. I have 3 champ splits all the fucking time. It's because I'm a coward. I can't make the decision at the end of the day. I have all these cards I want to be running, and I can't make the cut. You know, so
gotta play them all.
I guess that's another reason to get there is you just don't want to get rid of them, so you just keep one of everything.
We should ask Dresbo. Like Dresbo's all of his 1-ofs. He runs like 10 1-ofs spells or something, right? Like I wonder if that's like a conscious decision or that's like a, I don't know. Sometimes this card's really good.
Maybe I really need this memory cloak at some point, you know?
But I love that I can look at his list and like, you know, day to day, I could be like, okay, this guy got blown up by something because suddenly he's on 2 memory cloak. It's like, what happened here?
I think it's I saw someone who was like doesn't play a lot of LOR, but was started to get into the game recently. Was like a YouTuber I used to watch from like a different card game. And what they were saying is that they felt like LOR has a lot of like silver bullet cards. And what that means is like it's just like a counter to like a specific thing in terms of instead of just like a generally good card. And they were like citing things like, you know, like Deny and Aloof Travelers, where they're not amazing cards, but they're really good in choice spots. But I feel like that's always been like a really, I don't know, important way of Runeterra's design is like you want to build your decks to have a lot of answers to a lot of different things. And sometimes, yeah, like your Deny is going to be pretty worthless, but sometimes it's going to be pretty good. And I don't know how to feel about how I think that's designed. Do you feel like that's the case or no?
I think sometimes, you know, if we talk about like landmark removal against something like Starspring, right? Like, you know, landmark removal oftentimes is kind of bad, other than specifically Scorched Earth, right? So when people talk about like printing more landmark removal, you know, there's always a conversation about like, should we really be printing like hard counter cards, you know, these silver bullet cards? I don't know if I'd call like Deny. I don't know. Denies can only be so bad at the end of the day, right? And Aloof Travelers can only be so bad at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you know,
like
even against aggro, it's like
Crumble, the Tellstones.
I mean, there's a lot. When you go down the list, I mean, there's like you're gonna find a lot of different cards, right? Like,
but most of them are bad, right? Aren't most like silver bullet cards just unplayed?
I think so, but like that's kind of like the case is like you want to like fits these things into your deck sometimes for like specific matchups, right? And that's like kind of the theory behind sometimes I want a one of, you know, Crumble in my deck in like Sundisk meta, or for example.
I mean, these type of cards really shine in like a sideboard meta, right? Or a sideboard type of game. So, you know, like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh have like the sideboards, and like maybe if LOR had sideboards, then, you know, something like Crumble might see more play. But I don't know if that's like a good thing to be able to, you know, just like hard tech. I don't know. I mean, it's just like a different approach, I guess, right? I don't know.
What do you guys
something I was figuring was popping up. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Jason?
I was gonna say, is there more stuff we want to talk about the meta? We could always circle back, but I wanted to talk about like ladder and it being like transparent compared to like Magic ladder is like closed. It's closed deck list, and there's no leaderboard, and you can't like pull the information from an API or anything. Nowadays there's like tracking software and stuff, so like you can get like some stats or whatever. But one of the things I was thinking, kind of maybe this season's like a bad example, but in a lot of past seasons, like everyone knows what the good decks are pretty fast. Like because like the information just transfers through the community, because we have all this information like leaderboards and everything. And I mean, it gives us in the client. And I honestly wondered if we would like. I love it coming from Magic because you always want to know, right? You want to know what's winning. You want to know what's doing well, what the different matchups are. But for a long time, Magic fought against this a lot because they knew that if this information was readily available, the format would become solved and it would become like boring basically. and it would be like they only release a new set every 3 months, and so it'd be like a long time. Like, you know, if all the information was out there in Magic, like it is for us, which it kind of is, and the formats do actually get solved really fast now in Magic, and people have to just wait around basically through a stale format. But basically, if we had the same thing in Runeterra, like right now, the format gets solved in like 2 weeks, and so maybe it's not such a big deal that now they're doing the patches and releasing new cards like every month. So it's not like that bad, but I feel like it would keep it from being solved a lot faster. And again, this season's probably a bad example because like it's not solved, but most seasons, like 2 weeks in, it's kind of like, oh, hey, like this is a thing. But I guess not last season. Affiliates kind of came on strong late. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, last season was really long, and I mean, even we had a lot of balance batches, of course, but I don't feel like we had it solved at the end, to be honest. Like we were doing the last minute testing, and I did not feel satisfied with our conclusion.
Yeah, well, I mean, we only had 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks with the last patch, right?
Yeah,
Before
I guess
seasonals.
So.
Because before that, Pantheon was the nuts, right? I'm trying to think.
Well,
Like,
I mean, it was the nuts at the end too.
and then it ended up being the nuts still, yeah. I don't know. I just feel like almost we would be better served if we knew less and there was more like time to explore things and try to figure stuff out.
I just feel like we even when things get stale, we kind of tend to continue to find things. Like I mean, there's always more interesting responses to meta
I mean,
calls.
sometimes like look at like there's so many where it was just like Ari Kennen was just like, oh hey, it's just Ari Kennen, it's for everyone. And like also imagine if like you know, we had Ari Kennen go hard, nobody else did.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Ari Kennen was beyond busted, but
I think it would be, as far as like sequestering this information, you know, like not showing, you know, like play rates or win rates or deck lists or having them readily available. I'm not sure I'd be crazy about that. I like having all the information. It feels like it would really benefit, you know, well-connected people that are already at the top. You know, like if you have a testing team that has like 10 people in it that are really good at the game, and you guys all just like quietly find the deck lists yourselves, and then nobody else is able to find them. That seems not
Totally.
crazy
actually,
about that.
I think the information shouldn't be public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't put it out there, but like it would benefit us greatly. That was not what I was like trying to get at. And in Magic, that's how it was. There was like a bit of like a boys club where there was these people, these like OGs that played for forever, a lot of good players, and they kind of just talked to themselves and kept it to themselves, and like that was it. It's interesting though. Do you guys notice like the leaderboard from the Riot API hasn't been working this season? So it's like actually a lot harder now to find decks. Like it's still in the client, but you have to go one by one, and if you want to see the actual list, you have to like import it, go look at it. Like it's not that much more work, but it's a significant more than just going to the leaderboard and just clicking through the decks really quickly.
I'll be honest with you, like almost every day I go through the LOR master tracker and just type in, I have a list of like 20 players. I just go through and I check to see what they're playing. I just stalk people.
Oh, really? That's so smart.
I 100% just stalk people.
Send me that list
was
after.
so creepy. The other day you messaged me, it was like, what is this deck? And I'm like,
Oh, Henneky's on
like
the
it's
list?
just like
Never mind.
there's a random LeBlanc TF I was trying out.
I'm like, bro,
Like,
why
I
is
was like,
LeBlanc
what
in
is
this
this? And I'm
thing?
like, what the hell? I played like 5 games of this. It was kind of sick though.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I like having all the information. You know, especially like, I don't know, matchup tables or like what the play rates are of all these decks. You know, like standard deck lists. I really like having all the information. I think that like losing that, I wouldn't be crazy about it. I understand like an argument for, you know, trying to keep the game a little bit more, I don't know, less
Fresh.
solved, I guess. A little bit more fresh, maybe. I don't know though.
I feel like it's more fun having access to the information.
Like people would still post about what decks they're doing well with, right? Like they'd value their Twitter karma over like keeping their deck list safe.
Dude,
Like
Shreem
they
and
want to share
Tribeam would
their
look so damn
piles. Like,
good. Shreem and
Yeah.
Tribeam
like
would pop off
how
on
else are they
Twitter.
gonna get people to play their piles and lose with them on Ladder?
But this is the
No, but
thing,
I
though.
would
Like, you want to
scam.
know.
I would scam so hard if there was no information publicly thing. Like people would track down my AR and figure out that I'm playing 35% on these decks, but like I'll just snap like 5 games on ladder where I went positive. I'm like, wow, guys, Jin Bard is really going off. You know?
Exactly. That's what everyone does. And then so you never really know. You have to like try out every single fucking tweeted out deck, try to
If
figure
you're
it out
looking
yourself.
at Twitter and somebody sends a screenshot, if it's not of like, the thing at the top that says like 25 games and like, 70% win rate, if it's not that, if it's just like a clip of like, I won 3 games in a row, don't believe that one. Just don't believe that one.
I actually love when things are like that.
Like I just feel like people would already be like, well, maybe if it, going back, if it wasn't like that, then who knows if people are as open.
I just
but
like
if
even
people are
for
like
tracking my own stats, it's really
yeah,
convenient.
like if people are as open as they are now, and it's just that you'd have to go on Twitter to like find that stuff, that just seems sort of like an
Well, the thing
annoyance.
is, there's not even a way in client to track your own games. Like that's the thing I don't like is like everything is external. There's no like match hist or like I don't know way to see how I'm doing on my decks within the client. So if I want to know at all, like I'll have to use Runeterra AR or Master Tracker, right?
Yeah.
Right? Wants you to keep trying with that Tri-Beam Ziggs, bro. Like they don't want to let you know what your win rate actually is with it.
That's true. That's true. It was doing great for like a while, and then I lost 10 games straight. Okay.
I don't know. I like the open information. I really like the open information. I like the collaborative nature of like solving the meta. I don't know. I don't mind playing in a solved meta for like a couple weeks. Like I definitely don't mind that. If we're getting a patch like every month, then I'm down for us to like solve the meta and then play on it for a couple weeks.
Yeah, the metas recently have been a lot better. I feel like since whatever the first patch that they like asked us in the LPP about, I feel like since then things have all been good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly why, because they asked us. I'm just using it as a reference point because that's just the last one that I can remember. Because before that was March, which was like the non-season. It's just so far back now. And in February, like I don't know. I don't remember what was in February. Do you guys remember?
Probably Pantheon was good.
Yordle and
my
Arms.
best guess.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
Yordle and Arms. Yeah.
It was Yordle and Arms.
Ari
But-
Cannon
totally Yordle
still
Arms, yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
No, Ari Cannon was gone after January, right?
Yeah, it was beginning of January, I think.
Yeah. Or beginning of February it was gone.
Something like that.
Anyway.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Yeah. So okay, talk to me about Bard. I've been playing Bard decks. Is there like actually a good Bard deck out there, or good Bard decks?
I think somebody hit rank 1 with Bard Zed on EU ladder, and they've been doing fantastically with it. I don't think Bard is particularly good, but
Yeah.
some people are out there kind of farming it.
Yeah, EU though, right?
Fucking EU.
It's hard to know. I
EU.
mean, the deck hasn't felt strong, or like particularly Bard Zed, I guess, has not particularly felt strong against me or when I've tried it. So maybe it's just when I played it, I low rolled, and when I played against it, they low
I've had the
rolled.
same.
But,
I've had the same sort of experience. I've not been impressed.
but I don't know.
So I think that the thing is with Bard, if you high roll, you just don't lose. Like I've seen people drop like 5-4 Zeds on 3 with the attack token. It's like, oh
Yeah.
well, fuck me. Like, okay, this was a fun game. And
What
like
do you mean?
sometimes
I
they just stack
Sentry
like
flock it, bro.
yeah, just Sentry Flock it, bro. But sometimes they have like these like a ton of 4/4 elusives, which like 4/4 elusives are really fucking hard to deal with. And they just kill you over like 3 tokens. These things like definitely happen. But is it like a super broken deck? I don't know. It feels more like a high roll deck. I know that a lot of EU players are also all over Zoe Bard, which is just a little bit more like
Right.
invoke heavy. It runs like the Fangs. It runs Mountain Scryer. Another interesting deck that like people are having success with. Bard's really weird, where like sometimes the stats are great and sometimes they matter, and sometimes your deck does literally nothing.
Yeah. Sometimes they have a unit that's like gonna win the game, and you're like, no, I guess I just have a bunch of big guys just gonna die here.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. There might be like a broken Bard build out there, and like Bard sometimes does do broken things, but in general, relatively unimpressed. I know that
Yeah.
Majin got baited into playing Ari Bard. I think somebody hit Masters with like an insane win rate, like a 75-80% win rate with Bard Ari. So Majin just has been playing it since.
Yeah. I don't think he's been too successful with it, but you know, he has been playing it.
When we were,
I mean,
we had a call with Riot before the new patch came out, and all of the devs were basically like, you know, a lot of the champs are better than they seem on paper. Like, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And then, like, at one point, they're like, Bard especially, and they're like almost like we're twirling their mustache, like, oh, wait until they find out about Bard. And Majin are like, oh shit, what? Bard's the truth. Let's get on this. So we loaded it up, played some Bard games, and I was like, imagine if they were just fucking wrong. Like, imagine they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then here I'm like, I just waited. Here we are a week later. I'm like, maybe I'll eat these words. But like, I'm pretty sure those were the same guys that were trying to buff Vi like last month.
I don't know. Bard's performing fine. Like,
yeah.
like,
To be fair, like I had lower expectations for Bard, and he had
like I thought
pleasantly-
Bard would be way bad, but he's
pleasantly,
fine.
you know, performed above my expectations.
Because they were so low, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The message we were getting was like, there's a tier 1 Bard deck coming, which I don't think has been the case yet.
Oh.
But just wait. Watch. In like a week, Ruben's users will be like, what if you play Bard like this? And we're all going to be like, ah, why didn't we see it?
I mean, but like the two cards that put chimes on top of your deck are pretty good. Just like hitting the chime like early on, like, you know, like the Phaleos decks are playing them. You have like the Poppy Tarek that are playing them. Other cards
decks are
like
good.
splash decks.
Or both those cards are really, really good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, does
you hit a 1/1?
The 2/1 puts it on top?
Really solid.
I didn't know that.
Bro.
I was like,
Bro.
well, I haven't played with the chimes. The only time I've gotten chimes is when I played Plunder and I stole their units, and then I got chimes, and I was like, oh, dope. They stole their cards.
Wait, that's really funny. That's how that works.
It's pretty funny.
The best Bard deck that I've seen, or at least the one that I've had the most success playing, because for some reason it keeps getting redeemed on my stream, is Bard Garen. It's just elites. It's literally just Bannerman elites, except you have Bard, and sometimes he buffs something up.
Dude, I built this deck like day one, like when Bard was revealed with a buddy of mine. Is like, isn't elites just like really bad? And I'm like, yeah, but what if elites had more 1/1 buffs? And they're like, yeah, that's true. That's all it needed.
There have been games where I drop down, you know, like a 3/3 Battlesmith on turn 2, and it's like, get fucked, bro. Like, this is pretty... And like the buff to the one that like discounts itself every time you play an elite, like that's actually a pretty significant buff. You can curve it out a lot earlier and set up for these, like, you know, big board wide buffs. The deck, when it does its thing, like it really does just like stat check you, and like it will kill you. But you know, if you answer its thing a couple times, then it's pretty doomed. So
yeah, you're still doing the honest Demacia thing, which has always had its faults.
Yeah. How is Annie Ezreal? Is that still a deck?
Yeah, it's like the third most played deck. Something like
I mean, it's definitely popular. I don't know how well it's performing, and I'm not confident that the builds that are being played are, you know, optimal. But maybe they are. Who knows?
I mean, I think it's fairly okay. Like, I think it just beats up like the Viego stuff pretty hard.
It beats up a lot of decks. I'm gonna be honest with you. It just like steals games. Like, this thing will just like murder you on turn 7. Like, a lot of games. If you can't kill Ezreal on site, you will die every time.
I can't know who paid you. Who did Ryan pay you to like come on here and like, look, here's this deck. Okay, it's gonna play spiders, and if you don't kill them, it will kill you on like turn 5 or 6. His answer for every deck is like, if it does its thing, it will kill you.
Bro, I mean, it is what it is. I've nothing to say. But no, Annie Ezreal, I've been playing it a lot. I enjoyed the deck a lot. It's mid-range flock, but you know, instead of jerking off for 15 turns with Caitlyn, like, you know, you get to actually go in and kill people. And I enjoy the deck a lot. It has issues. It's not great into thralls. It's not great into like these SI Go Hard Ravenbloom decks that like for some reason people are playing to just farm Annie Ezreal players.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, I really do like the deck a lot.
My issue with it is that like you queue up into SI, you queue up into Thralls, it's just over like immediately.
Thralls isn't that bad, but
It kind of
SI
is
is
like that
definitely,
bad. It kind of is
It's
that
winnable.
bad, Jason.
It's winnable.
yeah.
It's winnable.
It's
I'd
not
give
as bad
myself
as
like
Fallion
25%.
SI.
Like,
Ooh,
Okay, come on.
At
Absolute
least
I think it's
40,
worst.
at least
It's like
40.
60-40. Absolute worst at 60-40.
I think it's
close to, like,
60-40 if your
45.
Thrall's
If
opponent
Thralls
doesn't
is
know what they're
25,
doing.
When it's Field Rush for you, like
all right.
If your Thrall's opponent doesn't know what they're doing, they walk
31%.
right.
Okay, we're in the middle between my take and Aikado's take, but you know,
If they walk
It's
right
not
into your charm, getting the landmark removal, then yeah, you can get them.
Also, to be clear, half of these Annie Ezreal decks are still on triple fucking Telstone for some reason. So, like, you have to look at these stats and realize that BBG led them astray. BBG
Okay,
is single-handedly tanking the win rate of this fucking
Aikado,
Telstone is not bad.
Isn't Telstone's good against Thralls? You just aftershock your shit.
Oh yeah, because 5-mana Aftershock wins you the game against Thralls.
yeah.
Good call, buddy.
Yeah.
It doesn't when you-
Once they commit
Landmark
7
removal
If you
mana,
doesn't
draw
it's
all
Thrall.
3 of them, though, then you
Oh,
get
I
'em.
just spent 15 mana, and then I
But they
can
haven't done
Future,
any.
always promising future. Like, what else can they do? They have to. And then what do they do?
But no, I don't think that landmark removal is actually good against Thralls most
No,
of the
I
time.
agree.
It's
I
not,
agree
right?
with you 100%. But
Yeah.
I don't think
But
it's
no.
like a negative win rate though. Like I don't think you'll lose win rate by, or sorry, you gain win rate by taking the Telstones out of your deck.
I mean, I think that your deck gets better when you quit running, like 9 mana do nothings.
What do you?
I
What
think
are you
your
running?
deck-
I've been able
What?
to
9
play,
mana
like,
draw
Progress
3?
Days,
How dare you?
like Progress Day is like cracked in that deck.
Yeah, bro, if you're gonna fucking 9 mana progress day on turn 6 against Thralls, like good fucking luck, homie. That's
You know what I don't like?
Aftershock, Aikado.
I don't like the 2 mana stun card or the 2 mana 1/1 stun.
The spell slinger.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that guy. Like if you just play against Thralls, you're like, oh, I got a 1/1. Dope. Like it's just a dead
Yeah,
card.
obviously that
I'd rather
matchup,
have
but, like,
9 mana draw 3 or like
Sentry
kill a
coming down on
landmark.
turn 2 tokens are insane.
So like I think the
Um,
big thing about this Spellslinger card, because it is basically Sentry, right? It's like worse Sentry. It applies less pressure than Sentry, but it's only 2 mana, so you can sneak it into a lot more turns and
Right.
really tempo it out. I actually love this card.
I think the card's really good.
I don't know if it's like insane, but I love its design. I love the way that it fits into decks as like not strictly better and not strictly worse than Sentry. Plus the extra text on it that like sometimes you just double up on stuns and you kill something, right?
But like
I
imagine
really
if
like
it
this
was
card.
a 4/4.
Okay,
What?
Yeah.
Be honest.
but
How many
that-
times have you used the Spell Slinger's like second part?
I don't know, like 1 in 5 games, maybe.
Dude, I've
Oh,
never
that's a
used
lot.
it. I've never ever used
I have
it.
not used it that
Well,
often.
yeah, no wonder you guys can't win with the fucking deck then, bro.
What?
Come on.
I never said I wasn't winning with a deck.
Yeah, I would just fine with the deck, but like, what's the other stun card? It's Spider.
I mean, it's Sentry,
Sentry,
or,
yeah.
or another
Yeah.
Spell Slinger.
Oh, okay.
The things you're stunning, I just find I'm so rarely being like, oh, I really need to do 2 damage. to
Yeah,
this
It's
thing."
more that,
yeah.
like I
That's
need to
6/6
develop these
overwhelm.
units anyway, so I might as well kill
Yeah,
something.
sure.
I just feel like I'd rather have cards that like just did good things on their own, not like I need them that like sometimes make other cards also good, and then a lot of matchups they're just dead. Like that's not a good card to me.
Well, it's
I don't think
never
it's
a
like a
dead.
dead
It's
card,
just
right?
like
Dude, against
solid,
Thralls,
right?
it's so fucking dead. It's like, oh, maybe I'll get to
No,
stun a Thrall. It's like, no, they're coming at you at burst speed, and you're dead. It's just over. They're just opening on you. It's literally a
If
dead
you're-
card in that matchup.
If your
You could
argument
say
is
like
that Thralls
Arachnoid
is
Sentry's a
OP,
dead
I
card
agree
in
with
that
you.
matchup.
Thralls is OP.
Yeah, Thrall's is OP. Not everyone should be able to burst attack. It's not fair.
Just okay, like it's just a little like if it was like a 1/2 or something or a 2/1, like just a little, just
2/1.
one.
I don't think this
one-
card
Pretty
needs buffs
darn
at all.
good.
Oh,
I don't think this
God.
card needs buffs.
Wait,
at
if it was
all.
a 2-1, it'd be so good in aggressive deck.
It'd be insane.
It'd
Yeah,
be
that's too
broken.
good. Okay,
It'd be
give it a
fucking
make it a
broken.
1/2. Just something. A 1/1 is just ugh.
I think it's
I
fine
just,
as
like,
1/1.
I think
It's
it's
not
fine
like
card.
an aggressive card, right? I don't know. I like it. I like the card a lot. I don't know if the card's broken, but I do like the card a lot.
I love the 4/4. I'm all about that card. That card's
Yeah,
busted.
the-
the stage hand?
I can't run that Nanny as
Not in that list.
I wonder if you could.
Wait, which one are you talking about, Jason? The stage hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about stagehand. What region is stagehand in?
Oh, it's
Ionia.
Ionia. Yeah, never mind.
No, I'm asking Florent.
I forgot. Okay,
He
all
seems
right.
to
It's
tell
been
me
a
to
while.
run it over.
I haven't played Annie Jin in a while.
Maybe not talk about it.
It's from Annie Jin, so it's Noxus.
Right?
It's
That's
Jin's
like it's
region,
confusing.
right?
It's confusing.
It's just Jin region.
Dude, I'm playing it in Bard Jin, so it's obviously Noxus.
Oh,
What
oh,
about? Okay. Let's move to tentacles. What the hell with Lowry? I get smashed by this deck all the time, and I don't do that. I haven't played it that much, but like I never felt super powerful whenever I played it. Even like we had it on the team call with like a bunch of us playing it, we still kind of just didn't do much and lost, died. Like, what's the deal with this
It
deck?
didn't feel great to me when we're going to talk about the Demacia one. I haven't played the Ionia one at all, but
Yeah.
it didn't feel great to me because when I queued it up, it was just Flock Disintegrate decks, and everything I was playing was just dying. But that being said, I think it has a lot of merit because as soon as I queued up FTR and played into it, it kind of just like did 20 damage to me on turn 5. It has a lot of high roll potential, and it does and when it does that, it's really, really powerful. And then even on its own, it's like a good, honest, like mid-sized Demacia deck, which is fine.
I think it just has like some relative consistency issues where if you don't draw a Lowy, your deck just really does not much. And when you do have a Lowy, at least like in like like a 3/3/4/4 tentacle, and your deck just like really feels tough to deal with against like certain decks, especially if they curve into like a J4 on turn 6, and J4 comes down leveled like pretty much always. So like if you get a Lowy early on, like you're really steamrolling. But and I've played games where they just don't do anything, and it's like turn 11, you're just top decking.
I've tried playing the deck, and it doesn't matter what version of Allow I'm playing. I don't think I've ever seen an opening hand that didn't make me want to just like jump off a building, dude. They all look so fucking worthless. And it's like turn 4. And it's like, what am I doing with my life? None of my cards do anything. I have this dinky ass little tentacle. Where's my Lowy? Where's my voices thing to give it overwhelm? Okay, I play that out and it dies, and it's like, okay, well, fuck, my deck doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But that said, I've been blown the fuck out by this deck sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I play a lot of Disintegrate decks, so I'm beating it most of the time. But sometimes it really does, just swing like 20 Overwhelm on turn 5 and then Cataclysm you and do it again. It's like, oh, well, that was fun. So, I don't know. Deck's really weird. It's like second Pantheon, but it beats aggro.
Yeah, it's weird because like the aggro right now is kind of like Annie Jin and mostly Annie Jin. I don't know how well it's going to perform into things like Pirates or I don't know what other aggro there is, like Draven Rumble, but it's definitely good into Annie Jin because you get to get a lot of free pulls and stuff, and you're sized well.
Yeah.
Tentacle Smash is just a really, really powerful card overall. I mean, it's just like it's almost Tri-Beam,
It's so obnoxious to develop into it, dude. Like, if you're not developing a big unit, that Tentacle Smash is just gonna beat your ass. The card's really good as it turns out.
Yeah, like especially like going to turn 4, it's like, hey, I want to play Bard. Nope. I want to play like any 3/5. Nope.
You want to play Alawi? Yeah, you're getting Tentacle
Oh,
Smashed, and then you
yeah.
can't attack your Alawi. It's really kind of goofy.
Alawi also just sucks on defense. Like, sucks on defense.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't like that deck. I don't like playing that deck.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
acknowledge that it blows you out sometimes, right? And the Ionia one seems really interesting. You're running stuff like Ghost and Twin and Deny and Syncopation. You run like cool things to protect your Alawi and protect your Tentacle. But God, do I hate playing the deck.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad
I'd
I'm
like
not
to try
alone.
the Ionia one.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Jason?
I have the exact same feeling as you guys about the deck, and I just hadn't chatted with anyone about it yet, so I just assumed it was me. I was like, oh, everyone must love this deck. It must be me that doesn't like it or doesn't know how to play it.
Some people loved that deck, so I was really surprised.
Yeah,
A lot of people are having a lot of success with it. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
Same Z's.
So
So
Jin?
yeah.
Do you want to talk about Jin?
Jin Annie or Jin?
Jin.
I
Just
haven't
Jin in
found
general.
anything functional that's not Annie Jin, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there is. Like there's some ideas. I played like a Jin Swain like mid-range style type thing early on. It felt really bad. There's like a ballistic bot thing.
That's
Feels
like
kind of
Jin
bad. I
Victor.
booted up
Like,
one game of like Kennen Jin and I immediately regretted it. Like I conceded before I played a card, I think.
People keep
Yeah.
like asking like, "Hey, why don't you play Jin Yasuo? I heard that deck's doing pretty well." I was like, am I underrating Jin Yasuo? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, guys, guys, the deck sucks.
Everyone talks about like Jin Yasuo, and for a second I was like, "Wait, is Jin Yasuo good?" And I go on Runeterra AR, and it has like a 32% win rate, and I'm like, "Nope, nope, it's not good."
I mean, you have to think about it for like literally 1 second. You're like, okay, I'm Ionia, I'm Jin. Can I put Flock in my
There's
deck?
no
No.
synergy.
And then you're like, oh, I guess my deck sucks.
Okay. So maybe I'll come in from the other side then. Jin, I feel like this motherfucker does so much insane stuff. He has to be good. He has so much text. His
Sure.
stuns, if you set up and you develop into an attack, it's kind of insane. So what I built was Jin Aphelios. And the idea is that we're just like stunning your entire board with like Gravitum and Jin, and you know, every stun card in the fucking book, and we have
Sure.
like Winning Light as our top end. I've had like, it's been fine, it's fine, but I swear there has to be a broken Jin deck because he just has
I
so
swear
much
if you're
text
doing
and
fine
does
with this
so much
deck,
insane stuff.
I feel like if you're having success with this deck, it's just because Aphelios and Winding Light are busted.
I hear you, but also get to run Doom Beast and Stagehand. We get to run Stagehand.
Okay, you know what? I'm in. You son of a bitch. I'm in.
You got me. Okay, so so that's a really interesting point that you can't play Flock, and like that's like a really big downside of these Bard Jin decks, and maybe like kind of one of the reasons that they're
Bard
like
Jin decks.
Bard Jin. Where are we going
Oh,
from?
okay. So you're
You
saying
like
Bard and
separately,
Jin
Bard
get
or
one
Jin.
Flash Jin.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were saying Bard Jin. I was like, bro, true.
You guys don't know about the truth that is Bard Jin?
Henneky
What did I
flash
tell
texted
you?
earlier today.
Guys, I was playing Bard Jin on stream today. God.
So the thing was like these are the new, what are they called?
Runeterra.
Aaron Chan.
Oh yeah, Runeterra. I was going to call them World Walker. The Runeterran champs, and they're both kind of like we're just talking about Bard. Like maybe doesn't actually have like a tier 1 build, and if Jin didn't have Annie, like it might have no home at all because it doesn't outside of that currently, right? So, like I don't know. Were these like champions kind of a bust then? Like I don't want to say that because like they're seeing a lot of play, right? There's a lot of Annie Jin running around. There's a lot of Bard running around, but like, will there still be in the future?
Right. I think to
It
me,
is a
especially for-
huge limitation.
yeah,
It's
You
big.
go ahead,
To me-
Jason.
Right. To me, when I saw Jin, I was like, oh, he's super flexible because you got to play like a lot of different cards from different regions in a deck that normally doesn't get access to them. But then, like after I got to look at it, it's like being locked to one region worth of spells. So that's like a lot more limiting than what sort of flexibility you actually gain from being in the Jin region. And like that's the obvious downside, right? And you can't really function many decks without multiple regions of spells unless you're like tunneled into this just very like fast tempo / burn sort of archetype. And Jin, looking like the most flexible champion, is probably one of the least flexible champions in the new set.
Totally.
Might be, but
Have you guys seen the picture? Someone made the image of like all the different units you could play with Jin. It's not that big.
Yeah.
There weren't that many. Like especially once it gets to like a 5 drops and stuff. Like you're not playing a lot of that stuff, you know. So like the actual pool is like pretty small.
There is a funny interaction where there's the 4 mana 3/3 card in PNZ that gives you an epic card for your regions. You can get Jin region cards off of it, which is kind of cute. So you can like get a Ledros or like a Raza off of it.
what? Wait, which?
So like
part?
if you have a card, cards that say
the
from your
last breath
region.
card, yeah, from your
Oh,
regions, you
Eminent
can
Benefactor.
create Jin region cards.
Huh.
While there
Huh.
isn't like a specific region, it just takes from the pool of cards that you get to build with Jin.
Are
But
there
that was
any
like kind of
others?
cute. I was like, huh, that's a cute interaction.
It's
Huh.
interesting. I don't know about you guys. Okay. I have said it a few times. Jin, I swear, every time I read him, he just does more than the last time I read him.
Yeah, I mean he has so much text on him. He does a
So
lot of
much.
things.
It's just,
However,
it's just so hard to level him in any other deck that isn't like
I hear you.
5/1 drops that level him up.
I think that people are really bad at playing even Jin Annie, by the way.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree,
I
I
see
agree.
people misplay his stun constantly, genuinely constantly. There are times where you're just not supposed to develop on your defensive turn, so you save his stun for your offensive turn. I
Yeah,
watch people play this deck, and this deck's win rate isn't that high right now. I think it should be much higher. I think people are really bad at Jin. I think Jin is, outside of Jin Annie, really difficult to build around, but I swear there has to be a good deck. There has to be a good deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to find, right? Like there's a lot of goofy things you can do with Jin that are just insane to me. Like I like the one deck I was testing was Jin Swain, right? And the one thing I was doing was playing Jin Rex. Like if you have Jin Rex, it's like a 6 cannons and then it's 2 Lotus traps, which is like that's gotta be insane. And then you realize you have one region, and
Yeah.
there's no one region where like your deck is actually like very functional. Like there's not a lot of mono region stuff that synergizes well with Jin in particular. And I think
We
that's
just
where
need to-
Bard has more success than Jin, where like, you know, mono Targon is gonna be fine. Mono Ionia is like fine with the Bard stuff. But there's nothing that synergizes well enough with mono Jin, is how I feel.
What if it's Bandle? You get like Pokey Stick.
And
Get
I mean, your best
Well,
card
I
you're
was
getting is
hoping Pokey Stick was enough.
the best card you're getting is actually Lecturing Yordle, I think.
Lecturing
But that
Yordle,
card is not like that good anymore.
it's really good with Ravenbloom. Have you played Ravenbloom Lecturing Yordle decks?
I mean, you
Now
can even
get
do
a
that with
card
Jin.
Jin
That's
No,
from
I
it.
agree. It was a side
I know,
point.
I
It
know,
was a side point.
I know. I like the Bandle Noxus stuff. I think that's pretty interesting. It could be good. Who knows?
Yeah.
Bandle Nox. Bilge Nox feels surprisingly good.
I like Bilge Nox a lot.
It's
I like Bilge Nox.
I'm a huge simp for just like mid-range flock decks and like keg TF decks. Oh my god.
I'm the
Just
same.
when you combine them together. Ravenbloom Rex is actually fucking hot.
Dude, I'm telling you, you gotta try this LeBlanc TF hotness.
I played TF 2 Katarina 1 LeBlanc. And it was pretty good.
No. 3 LeBlanc, bro. You level that LeBlanc. Ooh, it's
Ooh.
juicy.
you know, for the
Do you
longest
get,
time,
do you get double Tibok? It's
I wondered why Henneky wasn't top 40 seasonals anymore. I think I figured it out.
Guys, I'm a deck builder now.
It's Ziggs Tribeam, then it's LeBlanc TF.
Jin Bard.
Jin Bar.
He's
Bro,
gone so
Jinbar is
far
the
out.
future. We just haven't figured
Okay.
it out yet.
Dude.
What about Aphelios decks? So both Aphelios and Aphelios by Zoe, I've noticed, has like the highest win rate right now on the meta tier list that we have.
Oh, really?
I think that's probably gonna end up being our best deck, to be honest. Like, it feels like where I would want to go to be the best across the board, and Winding Light is just kind of really, really dumb. I'm playing it as a one-of in my Aphelios right now, and you know, it's not hitting every spot because sometimes that deck is like tall and on top of its Elithus, but you get a big board, you throw a Winding Light down, they just die. Your opponent just crumbles.
Yeah. The Aphelios Zoe Vi deck has always been very like adaptable and like has game against lots of things. So it makes sense that in this meta like it'd be doing some work and winning. So you're playing Winding Light and Aphelios? That's kind of hot.
Yeah, I think that's
I can
a
see it.
pretty common version.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
is
like
it?
a one-of right now?
Yeah.
I think you could just slap Winding Light and almost anything, dude. This card is so fucking insane. There have been
Yeah.
so many points where I'm like so far ahead, and it's like, oh, I'm just like not taking any damage from my opponent. I'm super good here. And they just slam Winding Light, and it's like, okay, well, this is fine. This is fine actually, because I stun and then like I disintegrate and I'm still taking 12. Are you fucking kidding me? It's insane. The card's so
I've had that
good.
exact spot where I'm like just sitting there. I'm like, oh, it's just fine. You know, I'm in a comfy spot. And then you're like, they play the Winding Line. You're like, I'm dead. You know, it's like, that's cool.
Especially since the deck, like the PNZ Aphelios deck runs, you know, triple Get Excited, triple Mystic. They only need one Winding Light turn. Like you don't even have to play, you know, super aggressively. Like you could just play for this big combo turn. And it's really hard to shut down because everything gets really fucking big. And it gets really big at the beginning of the turn, so it's not weak to removal. I think that card's nuts. I think that card's like genuinely nuts and is enabling like a lot of decks. Like if you just want to make like a generically good like mid-range Targon deck, you can do it with almost anything.
Yeah.
Like Jin.
I think like Jin or like Leona. Like I think if Jason, if you want to make Leona good, Leona Aphelios probably
Okay.
kind of good right now.
I thought you were gonna say Leona Jin, and I was gonna like.
No, I tried building.
Wait,
that
that sounds
already.
insane. That sounds insane. Leona just like makes so many skills, and then Jin also stuns.
I
So I
think
hear
you'll
you.
realize it's a lot less skills and more on like one specific turn.
Is
I hear you. I tried out Leona Jin, and it turned into Jin Aphelios, and that was much better.
Jin Ophelia. Why didn't it turn into Leona Ophelia?
is
I'm
there
just
like
telling you.
isn't there like a counterfeit copies deck where you like get to draw your whole deck, where you like counterfeit everything to like D0, and then you just
the
like keep.
dragons? What do you mean?
I don't know. I
Or
forget. There's like all those
deck.
bad combos because I want something like that with Jin, where I just get to like turbo machine gun down my opponent, just like
Oh.
shuffling stuff back in and
I
drawing
don't
cards.
think there's any like garbage
I mean,
combos
I'd
you
do
can
that.
do with one region.
There was
Yeah,
like
the issue is usually they require like PNZ plus Shurima or something like that, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like
right.
something plus Shurima usually.
That said, have you guys seen the Brood Daddy deck?
I haven't. What is this?
I saw you lose to it. That's
It's
what.
the Broodfather Dragon. It's the new big dragon, like 8-drop, that when it attacks, it draws a card or it draws a unit. If the unit's a dragon, it summons it attacking,
Right.
and it chains with itself. I played a counterfeit copies version, which is a meme, of course, but it was kind of sick. I won that game, but I played against like just normal ass like Shyvana Aesol, and like I don't know, on like turn 8 they dropped it, they attacked with it, and like they summed out another one and Aesol, and it's like
Doesn't
what the
suck.
fuck, and then they
Kind of
Dragon's
sounds like you
Clutch,
got
and I'm
high
like,
ultimate.
I mean, I might have, but yeah, I mean, Dragon's Clutch is like still a really good card. We kind of forgot that it got buffed, but like
Sure.
these units get hella big, they get overwhelmed, you know.
I swear dragons is just
Dragons?
not it, man.
Oh, Megalol.
Like dragons has not been it. Like even when dragons was it, like it was not it. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
it's
there was a dragon season, and I brought dragons to seasonals, and I was miserable. I lost to Cameron Hanzo. Like
oh, shots
You just haven't-
fired.
You just haven't seen Brood Daddy in it, man. Brood Daddy just elevates.
You
it.
better
Okay,
watch
okay.
what you say this season, bro. This is Thrall season. Hanzo's not to be messed with.
I taught Hanzo everything he knows. I'm the better Thralls player. Go beyond.
Dude, Thralls is so. Oh my god. Okay, the worst thing about Thralls, by the way, other than playing against it, which is awful, is the fucking mirror, dude. The mirror is so stupid.
Dude, it's high skill now.
It's so
There's
crazy.
it's more consistent. Everyone has a Thrall all the time. It's always fair.
Yeah, how is that?
Dude,
Where's
you
the
don't have
skill
a Thrall?
expression? Break it
You don't have
down
a
for
Thrall
me.
right now, mate? I guess you're just worse.
I just mean, I don't know. It's so cringe. Like, I don't know. You both just end up with your boards. You swing into each other. You know, you use a couple Three Sisters. You do it again.
I
the
hope
next
he
turn.
doesn't have a freeze.
Dude, it's so stupid. I hate that deck. I hope that deck. Here's the thing. Okay, if anyone's listening, if you hate Thralls as much as I do, please go out and play it this week. This is like the last week that will matter stats wise for the patch. So if you want Thralls nerfed, get out there, play the fucking deck. Because I don't want to have to deal with this shit for seasonals. Please go and get this deck nerfed.
This is a cry for help.
They
This is a
just
cry for help.
just buffed it.
I know. What a mistake. Why would they do this?
Okay, real talk though. So when the patch is when? Like so we just had
End of
the
this
cards
It's next week.
No.
End of
No.
this month is
End of
patch.
this month.
22nd.
21st, right?
21st,
patch will
22nd.
land the 22nd. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually getting a pretty big chunk of time because seasonals is July 16th now, I think.
Right.
Well, that's
And
3
it's
weeks
sure.
after the
weekend.
patch.
That's 3
1,
weeks. 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Three,
It's a
three,
half.
3.5.
Nah, that's fine. It's plenty
3.5.
of
So it's almost a month. That's a lot more. It's an extra
fair
week on the 2.5. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I hope we get more new cards like we did in the previous like balance patches. That was cool.
I think we will. That's like kind of their plan. It also just makes it feel a little bit more exciting, right? Even if you're like for 2 days, you're like, oh, let's try this, and then you're like, nope. Like it's just it's something. Just something new is always.
Yeah, LeBlanc Udyr was definitely going to be good, remember?
Dude, when we were prepping for seasonals and you guys were like, dude, LeBlanc Udyr though. I'm like, wait, but like why though?
Dude,
It's like
yeah,
we're
I
going into
remember.
like Top Cut, and you guys are like, dude, I think LeBlanc Udyr's the shit.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
it
wait,
was not me.
stop it.
I
stop
need to clarify this. Okay, I had tested LeBlanc Udyr early in the season. Jordan was like, all of a sudden, like, guys, I think LeBlanc Udyr will beat Scouts, and I'm like, yes, but
Does it not?
like
I
it
think it beat-
does.
I think it
like,
beat,
it's gonna
like,
beat
nothing
Scouts, but like, it's so bad.
Poor Udyr.
But yeah, that's what happens when you get the extra week. You know, you start testing
You
shit
go
like
crazy.
that.
You go a little
I
crazy.
feel like Bard is this season's Udyr. Like people played a lot of Udyr when he first came out, and then he got buffed. They still played a lot more Udyr, and they're like now it's like who plays Udyr anymore? It's like done. It's gone,
Well,
right?
This weird fringe little card got printed called Disintegrate that kind of makes Udyr cry. Like,
Did they need
you
a
imagine
spell
playing
shield
Udyr and
stance, man?
spell shields. No, bro, you play Auction Udyr with the new landmark that gives him a spell shield.
What if stances cost 2?
Dude,
That
people are
doesn't
already
solve
playing
the-
Sivir
that doesn't
Udyr
solve
in
the
Top Cut,
disintegrate
so
problem.
like we
Oh.
could bring Shurima Udyr, get a spell shield, and then just have them throw an extra spell before they did Disintegrator.
Oh my god, bro, it's so good. If you
I
think about
know.
it.
We got an extra spell out.
Okay,
Alright.
Like a
real
third of a
talk.
progress
The
day.
new landmark, the stupid ass Shurima landmark that's like 3 mana. Next
Oh,
time
yeah.
you play a champion, it breaks it and gives you spell shield. It's actually kind of hot in lurk. If you want to beat like stun spider decks, it makes Rek'Sai really, really, really fucking hard to interact with.
Yeah, it is annoying. I would hate putting any non-lurk card in my deck. It would just trigger me.
I hear you, but it's better in the fucking rally. I guarantee you it's better in the fucking rally.
I do
Dude,
think the
but it
rally is
de-
actually
the
like kinda
rally
ass.
deals 1 damage though. Okay,
I
did you
killed
know?
my opponent with the rally
Dude,
card.
I've killed them
I
so
think-
many times.
I think they need to buff
Burn.
that card so it does your lurk damage.
Oh, that'd be so sick. Oh my god.
What do you mean you're lurk
Oh my
damage?
God.
Oh,
Like,
that'd be
you lurk it and it
insane.
buffs.
That'd be
Maybe
so
like just-
insane.
maybe
Why would you
just
do
for
that?
Unit, but
Tri-beam is back.
I was playing against like a Nami deck. I don't remember what Nami deck was, but they attacked. I saw the lurk animation. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Oh god. Oh god.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
really
that's funny.
I was playing Plunder. They're like, yeah, you know, sometimes you hit the lure.
I know you immediately would have checked and be like, did they play their blood bait off Wiggly?
Yeah, it's funny shit.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, any last thoughts as we wrap it up? Any decks anyone's playing that they think is hot? Any dark horses?
LeBlanc TF.
I can't tell if you're being serious anymore. I can't.
It's
I
actually,
can't take
like,
you.
sick.
I can't.
The deck is actually sick.
All right,
Like as
ship me
sick
the
as
code.
Udyr.
I said Udyr was bad.
Ship me the code and I'll make a video.
Oh, let's go.
Bro,
In
Jin-
another video.
Jin
I might even
Helios,
tag
man.
you.
You know how many dislikes Majin's Shurima Tri-beam video got?
What?
Wait,
Why?
how many?
I have no idea. I don't see the
Oh,
dislike. They removed the button. but I like to imagine it was pretty high.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll say goodbye. We'll see you guys again next week. Oh, $500 tournament this Saturday. Thank you, GG Tour. Aikado going to be there streaming with Monty. It could be a bunch of fun. Come hang out, support. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.